Okay, so this video's for pretty much anybody who's working here, and it's always a tricky subject, but I think it's important because we're always trying to understand expectations wherever we work. And in this video, that's really centered around how do I fire myself? What is it that I do to get fired somewhere because we want to make sure that we don't. And so I think it's important just to understand being here, what that entails, and a couple of things. Is number one, obviously, if you're falling outside of the bounds of what was given to you as clear expectations in terms of your job, and we have lots of grace for, improvement, growing, continuing to make the efforts needed in order to try to move somewhere. Obviously, we have lots of room there to grow as long as somebody's understanding, making adjustments, coming back, growing. But if there's a consistent pattern of just um, not doing something, making intentional decisions, maybe there's just not the capacity there, um, and that's a discussion that keeps coming up. Obviously, that's going to be a way that we're probably going to part ways. The simple ones are just lack of integrity. If there's dishonesty, that's just an immediate goodbye here. If there's backbiting or gossiping or anything that would be hurtful to culture, our culture here that we're trying to create, that's just an immediate goodbye because the culture is very important here, and so we're not going to compromise that. If there are issues, we always want that to be brought up with management. And so we can address those things. We understand we're all human beings, but that's just unacceptable here to be gossiping about internal or external people that we're working with as well is really a one that would be a parting ways. Um, and then I think just probably the broad brush would be if there's just not a fit, if we're not gelling, if you're not buying into the culture and excited about what we're doing and where we're headed, we're probably just going to part ways eventually because it's just not it's not where you want to be. It's not where you need to be. And so we're just always going to look for ways to say you're probably better suited somewhere else when all is said and done. And so we're just, again, we don't want anybody want to be fired. It's the last thing we want. But I think it's important to understand there are boundaries, there are expectations that you fall within our confines in order to maintain employment here. So just a little bit of a trickier subject, but one that I think is important so you understand how to stay here and how you'll be asked to move on. So